Hello everyone, quick update on BTC. I wanted to make this video especially to mention the logarithmic LMACD indicator that I first found when following Aporia, right? It was posted back in mid-December. It seems that it's better to spot bottoms. As we can see, I have already opened it here. This logarithmic version on the weekly, of course, high time frame always, is based on RSI, right? But it shows since it's the logarithmic version, it shows like a clearer picture, right? I can open the RSI. We can see this bottom that we've been discussing is more or less shaped here. The downtrend on the RSI, right? But it shows more clear trend, especially for high time frame. I use this in a very high time frame and mostly for confluence. Pretty much cycle calls or cycle moves by me, right? On my trading decisions. We can see it, we can use it even back to 2015, right? And again, it's not mandatory. You can use the RSI, as we have said several times, to spot bottoms, right? Cycle bottoms 2015, flashes green, pretty much the bottom. Then we have some kind of RSI and the divergence again. 2019, bottom process here again, the weekly showing reversal, strength showing up even though price is still not reflecting it. Same with 2022, which we have already mentioned, the bullish divergence between price, the oscillator. But you can see that when it flashes green, it's pretty much the bottom range, right? And this is very interesting. We can see this logarithmic trend, right, that was established at the second top in December 2017, and which has acted precisely for the top in 2021. The first one, you know, the second one was pretty much with no strength. There was a very big divergence. And that makes me believe, which aligns with my idea of full euphoria at the top and the monthly RSI very overheated. I'm gonna switch just a second for the monthly. This is a trend line that I have had in mind, which is pretty much similar to this for a long time, right? I don't see a market dying at 70 something. But for now here, this was like a double top on the various divergences on the monthly as well, perhaps enough to think about the risking, but I didn't de-risk fully. I'm not gonna pretend I did. I should have sold more, but that's each one's a strategy, right? I had a lower entry, so I could just stick for longer in case there was more upside soon for alts mostly. So this is a trend line that I've been eyeing, keeping an eye, which, by the way, I also mentioned that this is something that I don't really like, because every time we lost it, the bull market was pretty much over, right? It was here, except for 2021, where we had this second leg, but it was just rejected here. So we'll see if it's a fake out or we print this triple divergence here on the weekly, as we have mentioned in different videos. So back to the weekly. Something I really like about this is you can draw clearly this kind of bottom that we have discussed and mentioned, right? It's the bottom in October 23, September 24, and perhaps now, right? So we can see these bottoms, let's say intermediate bottoms or bottoms within a bull run, right, clearly coincide with these bottom forming areas, right? Pretty much This is the range. And it seems we are close or already in that area. Okay, I'm gonna remove this to make it bigger. So this is something that could be happening right now, which again coincides with the with the 50 EMA we have discussed a lot already, right? Much confluence, in my opinion, to say the bottom is in, if the bull run is alive. So I just wanted to share this indicator and give credit to Aporia, of course, because I think it's very useful, perhaps for the next stop. It didn't happen here. It didn't happen here either. So what if this extends and we top? Or just triple divergence? We have to see that yet. But as long as this median and this average hold, I think there's room for another push. I don't see any overheating or euphoria, but I wanted to share this so you can perhaps save it. I'm going to link it in the post on Twitter when I publish this video. I'm going to give the link to this link, okay? Because Aporia has already shared that, and I'm not gonna take credit for this because I shouldn't. Yes, you can save it. Again, you don't really need it, because you can play around RSI, but you can have a clearer view with flashing indicators, right? So I think it's useful. Now let's take a look at BTC quickly. I posted yesterday that we're still in a downtrend, of course. We need a high low. Obviously 84 put in some battle. It was expected, but we need to reclaim, and perhaps when we reclaim it, considering how this trend line still goes down, we can perhaps break it finally. Even if we break it and we keep climbing, I guess many people will buy this breakout and will think that it's already over for the bears, but we might reject here. And imagine rejecting here and going back down to 84, and people would say, again, we are rejected and it's freaking over, there is weakness, we can break key levels, blah, blah, blah. But as long as we keep these and establish finally as a new low, right? We reclaim this, the structure would have changed, right? Because we can see here that apparently we held, but we couldn't here. We tried, the first rejection at 88 didn't hold. We tried again, became resistance, right? After losing, it became resistant, and now it's resistance again. So the moment we establish as a new low, the trend will be very different, right? We could say the trend is reversing finally. Okay, so even if we tag this again next week and we go back, that's good. I mean, I wouldn't like to see this kind of fucking scam pumps, but to see a strong recovery, markets accepting new levels, and realizing that, okay, fully digesting the 90-day pause for tariffs, and realize that economy is still going. We are entering deflation apparently, but still not that bad. So that's why I think we can have a few weeks or even months to pump a little bit. But if something so far and until we find signs, this unless you have allocated completely at the bottom of the bear market, I think this is more like a weekly cycle trading cycle. I don't think it's very wise if we spot weakness, right? I don't think it's very wise to hold just because it could keep going up, because this could be very painful, 8 months, 3-4 months, and I'll get destroyed. So I will just adapt. You know, I'm mostly on altcoins now, so I will keep adapting and see what's next. For USDT, I wanted to take a look at this macro chart that I've been using. And I mentioned that this was topping back the last time, but since then it has, perhaps this is a fake out, but it broke to the upside. I'm gonna clear this a little bit. And something I don't want to see is this support reclaim, right? This is the bear market range for crypto from the bottom actually of the bear market, June to October, right? This is the whole bottom forming, right, for USDT. We have already mentioned this, but the divergence was there, and the clear distribution, right? So the moment this broke, became resistant with a little fake out, and I expect this to be the same now if we want to have a new leg, at least to retest 370 something, right? 77, I think it is. So stock RSI is getting overheated, but we can say this divergence might be invalidated now since it went higher, but I want to see this potential retest like we had here in September 24, which led to this run until December, right? The moment it broke above it in January, it confirmed this was a double bottom, and we had this surge, which was the crash we have seen. And we go to the let me remove all this. If we go to the monthly, we have a clearer picture, right? We saw after this distribution, right here again, even a higher time frame, the various divergence we have already discussed, it broke here and it got rejected on the monthly again, September 2023, right? So this was the break in December that signaled that perhaps the bear market was over, right? The whole 2023, and this rejection was the confirmation, right? And since then it's been below. It got rejected here in August, which was the biggest, the lowest point for BTC in the 8-month correction we had last year. Again, I've said many times that this, I'm gonna remove it. This was the August-September drop. It retests the 50. It looks like everything's going to break. Same here. It looks like it's going to be reclaimed. This is how they make it or break it points, right? So we have to see, and we have to wait for confirmation first. This was a rejection, double bottom on the weekly. On the monthly, it was even more obvious. You can even argue there was a divergence. And the moment it broke was pretty much late January, February. The acceleration started, as I said several times. Once the MA is broken, either to the upside or the downside, price normally accelerates. But this is something I found very, very interesting. In June 2022, which marked the start of this bottom forming range, right? Look at the stock RSI behavior, right? And especially the level it reached, right? I think I'm gonna remove this to make it clearer. Okay. We are reaching the same candle of overheating levels on the monthly, right? And yes, still early in April, but so far this candle is not looking very strong. We could argue this was the same, right? The same thing happened here, and it kept going up. Sure, but the difference here is still it wasn't overheated, and it was about to retest. This was the make it or break it moment, right? You could have bet here on BTC, and it could have broken and started a new bear market, but there wasn't any kind of overheating levels to signal the whole cycle was over. And the same thing is happening now. Overheating levels, still not able to break to go above this, which is insane, by the way. But if we go to the weekly, I've said a few times that, let me, the key level is this support, right? And I don't want to see it go above that level. Of course, I want to USDT to keep printing these, let's say, fake outs above to fake everybody out the same way it faked below in December, but it was actually, sorry, this was actually the bottom, right? It was a, let's say, the bottom range, if you could say that, and we had these overheating, these, sorry, oversold levels with the divergence. So I still think this is the kind of fake outs that trap many people. Here they trap them being extremely bullish, here quite bearish and with doubts, and once it is confirmed, perhaps here, or even a rejection, once these breaks, people ride here, but by then perhaps BTC is over 19, even 90 something K, right? So we'll see. I still think this is a fake out. I have plenty of indicators like the 50, like the LMACD that I have mentioned to believe it's not over. And for BTC dominance, I also mentioned that despite this new leg, right, on the weekly, which by the way is also getting overheated, BTC dominance hasn't still retested this week on February. And I think that's very telling. I said that this level is also, we could say it's also important. It was a resistance back here in 17, became kind of support on 2020, resistance here in March 21. So this could be an important level in the high time frame. But anyway, I still believe BTC dominance is just having its last leg before rolling over, at least for a bit, because we take a look at these peaks on stock RSI, there was at least some kind of relief. Not much here, but a big relief here, right? Which coincided with this break of the MA. So we might be about to roll and at least perhaps test the MA perhaps at around 60, right? So everything looks like it's hanging by a thread, but reversals at key points normally happen that way, right? That's why experienced traders always say that to be bullish at support and bearish at resistance. We are at support, right? We've been at support for quite some time. And again, the change, as I mentioned several times, especially in one of the latest videos, the change in the RSI, the trend is changing. Started with these oversold levels. Yes, the price kept going down, but the strength was rising, right? So I believe this is a change of tone. Yesterday, after breaking this, we had the retest. Okay, we rejected at 84. We were going down to below 80. I started to see some posts from big accounts saying where were the bull trolls now, just with this candle. And they didn't even wait to see if the EMA broke, because if it broke, I think new lows would be in the making. But it bounced off and now it's testing 84 again. So I think, again, this proves the trend is changing on the daily. If we go to the weekly, there's still much work to do. But again, for now, this has been reclaimed, and this could just be a fake out, right? This is kind of the same fake out as in 2021. Continuation in summer, continuation here. And the good thing is the MA is coming back down. So look at this. I think it would be crazy to see a retest in May and see if we have the new leg potentially to this triple divergence on top around 130, something like that. We'll see. I'll keep you updated. Please use this indicator, at least add it to your collection for future reference. I will, since it's a very high time frame for me, I will come back to it when I think perhaps the cycle top is in or getting close to look for more confluence. Okay, have a good weekend.